guys, today we are going to be testing out the new Jeffree Star Bloodlust palette. I just went to the Morphe store as usual on launch day, and it honestly wasn't that crazy today. Like, I was expecting there to be a much longer line because that's what there usually is, but today wasn't that bad, which is a good thing for me. So let's go ahead and take a look at this palette. So here's how it comes packaged. This is as far as I've gotten. I haven't taken it out. I haven't looked at it. Hopefully none of the shadows are broken. So I'm going to take it out of the packaging here and then we can open it. Wow, that is so heavy. This is a heavy palette. The packaging though is beautiful. I really like the velvet touch. I feel like a lot of people aren't like a big fan of this because it's going to get dirty really fast, but personally, I don't know. There's something to me about having kind of dirty palettes that's a little bit charming because it means that you've used them and like you love them, you know? So I don't really mind this. I think this is really, really cool. I love the little detail of the metal ball here. I wonder how this is going to open. So should I just... Oh, did you hear that little click? Let's take a look at this together because like I said, I have not opened it yet. So hopefully everything is intact. And that's what the palette looks like. So it does have a little plastic slip here, so let's get rid of that. And that is beautiful. I really love the kind of gray detailing around the shadows. I think that is so pretty. Honestly, I feel like every time with his palettes, when I see it the first time in real life, it always looks so much better than when you see it like on screen, on camera. All of these shadows are so beautiful. I'm really excited to get into this. Since I'm sure most of you have already seen Jeffree Star's video about this palette, I will link his video down below if you haven't already, but I'm not going to bore you with a bunch of boring details because I feel like a lot of you or most of you probably already know the deal with this palette. So just gonna go ahead and start swatching it. So I will swatch 9 shades at a time because there are 18 in here and I can't fit all of that on my arm. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 9, stop there, and then I'll show you the close-ups and then we'll do the last 9 after.
I feel my heart is going full speed, I can't control it, can't keep up with the rhythm of it all. Is this all an illusion? 'Cause I'm getting deluded, can't keep up with the rhythm of it all. I gotta figure it out right now, 'cause I know what you need. You want only the best and nothing but the best from me. I gotta figure it out right now, 'cause I know what you need.
So my first impression on the swatches is that there is a lot of different formulas in this palette. So it's going to take a couple of tries to figure out like what everything is and like how to use it properly because there's definitely a couple of shades in here that I'm like a little unsure of how I want to use. So we're just gonna get into this. I'll figure out what I want to do. I'm gonna prime my eyes. I'm going to use my Natasha Denona eyeshadow base, which I am running so low on. So this is probably going to be the last video that I'll be using this in. And I went to Sephora yesterday to pick up another one and they didn't have it in store, so I had to buy my Smashbox primer again, which I love that primer, but it is just so expensive for the amount of product that you get that I just didn't want to have to repurchase it. But since I know I'm going to do 10 looks with this palette, I wanted to make sure that I have an eyeshadow primer that I know I love, so I ended up buying it for that purpose, just so I can start filming that video as soon as possible. And if you're new to my channel somehow, I like to do 10 looks with palettes and torture myself because it's just kind of fun. So if you want to see 10 looks with this palette, subscribe to my channel maybe if you want to see that. I think I want to try to do it a little bit differently this time just to keep it easier for myself. So I would always do like every look as in a full complete look, but I think I'm just going to do like one eye at a time this time just for really a lot of different reasons, but just to give my eyes a little bit of a break because doing 10 looks back to back is a lot on my eyes and they don't really like it. So as long as you guys are okay with me doing just one eye and then having like 5 faces with 2 different looks on them, let me know. I'd love to hear your input. Hopefully that is okay because otherwise it's gonna take a little bit longer than a couple of days, but let's just focus on this look right now. So I think I'm gonna start with the shade High King, which is this purple down here. And man, is this palette so hard to hold. Be glad you're not a YouTuber if you're watching this and you don't have a channel because you don't know what it's like to hold up a palette like this and trying to show the color that I'm using. So I'm first gonna go ahead and start by using this as my, wow, that is so pigmented. I barely even touched my eye. I really was not expecting that. Okay, so we're gonna use this as our transition shade here. At first I was looking at this palette and I was like, so many of these shades are so light. Like I feel like not everyone is going to be able to use those shades, but maybe they are going to appear darker on the eyes than they do in the pan. I hope that's the case because a lot of them looked really, really light when I swatched them on my bare arm. So I hope that having an eyeshadow primer is going to make some of these pastels a little bit darker just so that more people can use them. I don't really understand why he insists on always putting like super light pastels into his palettes. I know that might be an unpopular opinion, but for me personally, I feel like not that many people really use pastels anyway, and people with darker skin tones, it probably won't even show up, you know, and it's just going to look kind of ashy and weird. But this color is laying down so well. Oh my god. So just for fun, let's do a poll because I'm nosy. So I'm gonna put a poll in the corner. How many of you guys like when there's a lot of very light mattes in a palette? I'd love to know because I feel like a lot of the time you don't really need like a light color in every single color to go with any darker color. You can really just use a, you know, bone color matte to help blend things out or something like that. You don't always need like a colored light matte to use as a transition shade, but I could be wrong. So next up what I want to do is I want to dip into Dungeon, and I want to take this very dark, it's like, kind of like a grayish purple. I don't really know how else I would explain this, but it's a very beautiful dark matte, and I am happy that he put a very dark matte into this palette. When I was looking at the promotional pictures, I wasn't really sure if there would be any dark matte that you could use to deepen up every other color in this, but I do feel like this color in particular is going to be really good for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use this first underneath my eye on the outer portion, and I'm going to use this to create a bit of a wing shape out here, and then I'm going to bring my wing onto my eyelid and kind of connect it to my crease. I know that sounds a little bit complicated, and I don't know why I just did my left eye first. I always do my right eye. That was weird. I'm in a different mood today. So as you can see, I am connecting this to my lower lash line here and just using that as my guide for where I want to pull up my wing, and I'm just going to take this slow. And this is going to be a pretty big wing as well, so I am going to, like I said, blend it into my crease here. And the brush that I'm using is my Morphe M149 brush. It's one of my favorite tiny little detail brushes that I have in my collection because they can be used for so many different things. So I'm just being very careful here and just mapping out where I want the shape of this to be. And then I'll go in with a bigger, but still small, fluffy brush to use to blend this out with after. So now that I have a bit more of the shape down, I'm going to go in again with a small fluffy brush. This is my referral number 13 brush. It is one of my absolute favorites. And I'm just going to make sure that I pack this on the outer corner as well, just to really deepen this up. And then once I've done that, I'm going to start pulling this color through my crease here. And I'm taking this quite slow, and I'm not putting any extra product on the brush. I just want to see how far I can make this go with whatever I have on my eye now. And this is honestly blending out so nicely. Like, I feel like that looks really good. Like, if there is one thing I can say about Jeffree's shadows is that he knows how to make a good purple. My best purple in my collection, or at least one of my best purples, is the Purple and the Alien palette, which such a shame that that has gotten discontinued. I don't know why. I guess it just wasn't selling that well, or he's just wanting to make room for more stock, but man, that purple is so good. I wish he sold that in a single because I would love to bring that when traveling without having to bring my whole Alien palette, you know? I feel like this is really, really coming together very quickly here. So I do want this to look very graphic on the outer portions here, so I'm not going to do any blending out there. But I think I want to go in on my lower lash line with, what do I want to use there? Do I just kind of want to do the same thing? I think I am just going to do the same thing just because I have a plan for what I want to do on my lid, and I feel like that might end up looking a little crazy. So let's just go ahead and smoke out the lower lash line with the same color that I used in my crease. And that was the color High King. So I'm just going to take this on the rest of my lower lash line here where I don't have any shadow yet. I'm going to pull this all the way into my inner corner and just use this to kind of blend out the purple as well. Again, I do want to keep it very graphic on the outer portion of my eye here, so I'm not going to really blend out there, but I am going to blend these two colors together on the outer portion here. So far, I'm extremely impressed by both of these mattes. I think that they are performing so well, and they're very easy to work with. I barely have any kick up in the pan, not a lot of fallout. They're blending like a dream. And I think I've said in the past that if I could choose between Jeffree Star's mattes and his shimmers, I would always go for his mattes, because I feel like the mattes is like where he shines, because I have a lot of beautiful shimmers from a lot of different brands, but I feel like the mattes is where a lot of brands struggle to really get it right. So I'm very curious to dip into some of these shimmers now to see what we can get out of this. So I think I am going to use a little bit of Executioner, which is the black with the sparkles in it right here. So I'm going to take a bit of that and put that on the outer portion of my lid, and then I think for the inner part I want to use the green, just because why not? Or at least like in the middle of, I just want to try it, you know? So I want to try both of those, because those are the shadows that are really screaming my name here. So I'm first going into the black with the sparkles here. I am going to spray that with some Fix Plus, just to make sure I don't have any fallout, and I also want to make sure, holy moly, I want to make sure that the sparkles are still left on my eye. That is so dark. I was not expecting that. Oh my goodness. How am I supposed to blend this out? I mean, I don't even really have to blend it out, because it basically did it on its own. That is so beautiful. I'm gonna just keep that to the outer portion of my lid here, because a little bit of this goes a long way, and I'm going to blend it into my wing just ever so slightly here. I might have to go back in with that purple just to make sure that the edge up here is blended a little bit, but oh my god, this shadow is so fun and beautiful. Oh, I can't wait to do like a smoky eye with this color just all over my lid, and then some kind of a fun shade in the crease, and call it a day. Like, that is going to be so much fun. I mean, wow, that shadow is everything. I am gonna go back into the Dungeon shade, which was the dark purple, and just make sure that these two colors are blended together. And also just run this through my crease a bit as well here, just to blend everything. Okay, let's take a little bit of the green now, just for fun. So this one is called Sworn Enemy. I'm gonna try to hold it up like this and not blind it with a mirror, but it's so hard to hold this palette. I know, I'm gonna keep saying that, and I apologize in advance if it gets annoying, but it's really hard to hold this palette. Now, of course, if I wanted to make this into more of a cohesive look, I wouldn't use this color necessarily with these, but I just want to try it because I'm so interested to see how this is going to look on the eye. It's a little bit hard to pick up on a brush here. There we go. I think I just needed to really dig in there. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this color is a little bit just crumbly and thick and hard to work with. I'm struggling a little bit to get like a good application and a good pickup on the brush here. I definitely could use some glitter glue with the shadow. I feel like that would really help it. Yeah, this shadow right here is definitely not my favorite. I don't love that as a shimmer. I don't think it's very easy to work with, and I also don't think that it's really that impactful. Like, it's not really a metallic, it's not a shimmer, it's not a satin. I don't even know what I would call it. I mean, I guess it's a shimmer, but it's just not really doing it for me. Like, I really was just expecting more from this color in particular, because it is such a unique color on its own that I just felt like it would add something extra to it, but I don't really feel like it's doing all that much. Maybe on camera it's looking better. A lot of the time that happens. And I really have to dig into the shadow to be able to pick this up on my brush here. And I would very much appreciate that you keep the comments about using your finger to yourself, because I'm not a finger person when it comes to shadows, and I've said that many times in the past, but I feel like an eyeshadow shouldn't be required finger application to work well. It is blending into that black with the glitter in it very, very nicely though, so I do think this look is going to come together in the end. I just don't really like working with this shadow. I just don't think it's that easy to work with. So I'm trying to figure out a color that I can use in the inner portion of my lid here, and all I really have that's light enough and that's a shimmer is a pink, and I don't really know if a pink is going to really go that well with this look. But I guess I'm just going to do it anyway because I don't really have a choice. There's not really any inner corner shades in this palette, I feel like, so I guess I'm going to take Wet Jewel. This is the only one that I would really consider to be an inner corner shade. That's a shimmer anyway. I don't really like using a matte in my inner corner. So I am going to spray this as well, and I'm going to place that in the first portion of my lid and blend it into the green, and also just wrap it down to my lower lash line and meet it up with the colors that I have down here. This is a beautiful, beautiful color. I do think that this is more of a topper shade. I don't really think it has that much base pigment to it. I could be wrong, but just like from looking at it on my eye up close, it definitely seems more like a glittery type formula, but I'm interested to try this like on top of my whole lid and just see how it is going to layer and how opaque it really is. But the sparkle in this and the shift in this is just stunning, and it actually kind of goes okay with the green as well. It's not like my favorite color combination and colors that I've put next to each other of all time, but I do think that it works. So I think this is where I'm going to leave it with the shadows. Honestly, this didn't take long at all, especially considering like all the steps that I felt like I did, and I was pretty precise with some of the application. It really did not take very long. So I'm going to put something in my waterline. I'm going to do some liner and mascara, and I'll come back and we can talk a little bit more about this palette. I also want to swatch a shadow that I feel like could be a dupe for that green one that I think is better in my collection. At least I hope I'm right about that, but I feel like I am. So I'm going to finish off. I'll come back and we can do all that. Okay, so this is the look all done. For my waterline, I use my Fenty eyeliner. I just cannot stop using this. I'm so sorry. Every time I don't know what to wear, I just wear this because it matches my hair, and I feel like I just can't go wrong with it, even though together with this color combination, does it look a little bit crazy? But my hair is the same color, so like, it's fine, you know? So I just want to talk a little bit more about these shadows. So what I want to do is let's just start off by saying that I feel like every shadow that I used was really, really good. I was just a little bit disappointed in this kind of greeny money sort of shade. I just didn't feel like it was very impactful. It was kind of hard to work with. It was a little bit, the formula is weird. It's like chunky and creamy, but a little bit dry at the same time. Like, that probably doesn't make any sense, but I want to start off by swatching it because I definitely feel like I have some dupes for this. So this is the one in the Bloodlust palette. I'm going to build this up so I can try to get this as intense as possible. But like, obviously you see, this is not what it looks like on my eye because I'm just not able to use that kind of pressure and be able to smooth it out as well on the eye as I am on the hand here. And I also just want to compare it to one of the shades in the Alien palette because I feel like this is so similar to this one. It's called Moonrock. Like, I feel like these two colors are going to almost be dupes. So this is Moonrock on my finger and then swatched out underneath. So you can see those are extremely similar in a lot of ways. So I have a color here that I want to kind of swatch. I realize now that it's not really the same exact color. It looks kind of similar on the eye, but it's definitely a lot lighter. But this is from an indie brand called Glaminatrix. She has one of my favorite shimmer formulas on the market, and I wish that some of Jeffree Star's shimmers were a little bit just more intense, kind of like this. Like, you can see just how creamy and smooth that went on, and if I really like dig in here and do what I did with the other ones, it is just so intense and blinding. And I don't know, it's just, this is how this shadow applies on the eyes, whereas these two, you really need to like swatch and rub for them to be able to become that shiny and that soft and that smooth. And on the eye, it just doesn't really do that for me, which maybe that is user error, I don't really know, but I just don't feel like Jeffree Star's has the best shimmer formula in my opinion. And I know that's probably an unpopular opinion, and not everybody wants to have shimmers that, you know, are super intense the way that I like them. But I do really like the other two shimmers that I used in this look. I love this inner corner shade. That pink is just stunning. And also the color that I used on the outer corner. I feel like I lost a little bit of that glitter just because I blended some other stuff on top, but I can't wait to do like a black smoky eye with that color all over the lid. Oh, that's going to be so pretty. And can you imagine with like this same inner corner? Oh my god, that's going to be everything. So maybe I was a little bit critical about just that one shade, but I just found it to be a little bit hard to work with, and I just wanted to let you know. And I also, after I started applying like my mascara and eyeliner and stuff, I realized that my eyelids were burning a little bit, which is very, very common for me with Jeffree Star's shimmer shadows. It doesn't happen with all of them. It's just certain shadows, especially like darker ones in like this kind of color family. A lot of them do that for me, and it's not even like the reds and the purples that usually tend to have like the non-eye safe statement attached to it. It's usually never those shadows that bother my eyes, and I know some people also struggle with his shimmers kind of hurting a little bit. It's not like a deal breaker, you know, it's just like, it's kind of annoying because I can kind of feel it like tingle on my eyelid, but it is what it is, and I still keep buying his palettes and I still keep talking about it, but here I am with another palette. I'm still using it on my eyes, so I shouldn't really complain, but I feel like I should just like mention it in case maybe you're having similar issues with other brands and maybe it would be an issue for you as well. I just wanted to put it out there. So that's gonna be my first impression with this. Please don't feel like I gave this a bad review. It's just that I just wasn't like super impressed by one of the shadows, but I feel like every other shadow that I used performed beautifully, and I'm really excited to keep trying this and playing with all of the other colors and just having fun with this color story, because just like with this other palettes, I'm never that blown away when I first see the reveal video, but then as soon as I get it in my hands and I can look at it up close, it's like I just understand it a little bit better and I see where he's coming from, and I really think that this color story is beautiful. Would I change something if I could? I probably would, but you know what? I can appreciate this for what it is, and I'm really excited to play more with it. So that's going to be my first impression. Like I said, I am going to do 10 more looks with this palette as well as a more in-depth review. So that will be coming. If you want to see some other Jeffree Star content that I have on my channel, here's a couple more videos you can watch. And don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in my next one.